Hi, it's Emma from Centered Within. I normally do an audio podcast, and today I thought I'd do a video podcast. Even though I've just had a shower, I've just been for a massive long walk and just had a shower, so I haven't got a scrap of makeup on. Although sometimes when I do my reels and other things like that, I don't wear any makeup because I don't actually wear much anyway. And I was sitting here thinking, well, should I do video with no makeup on? Should I be doing this? And when I find myself saying the shoulds, that is attached to someone else or something else. It's someone else's belief. It's a collective belief. It's a mindset. It's something that I've taken on for myself. Something that I believe is me, a part of me. And even doing this podcast, I have no idea what I'm going to be saying, but I know and I'm trusting the fact that I've been asked to do this podcast, and especially a video one. And when you ask who has asked, I'm an intuitive healer and I am connected to many, many things. One of them being a lot of spiritual connections. And I trust in the messages that come through. And that's taken me a long time to do that, to trust my intuition. Yes, I've studied, I've been through a healing process myself, a long healing process after years of trauma and grief and pain and everything else. But even despite all of that, the trust in myself has been, I think, one of the most challenging parts of the journey, because there was such a long period of time I thought, how can I trust me when my life was the way it was? How can I trust me when I allowed my life to fall in disrepair, to be left with nothing but the shirt on my back, as the saying goes, or something like that? How can I trust me when I put myself in those relationships? How can I trust me when I allow people to do these things to me? So that process of trust, that process of believing in me, was only able to really be worked upon when I was doing all the other work, all the other healing work. Now, I work with people who choose to make a change in their life. You may not necessarily know how to make that change, but you are choosing to make a change. Like the one day, I remember it now, I can't remember the date, but I remember lying in bed and thinking to myself, I can't live this life anymore. I remember I had my mobile phone in my hand, and I remember I was watching YouTube. I was trying to watch a lot of YouTube, varying different videos as a source of self-help. But it came to a point very, very quickly that I knew I couldn't help myself. I wanted to, but I didn't know how. So that's why I invested in an intuitive healer. Actually, no, it was my life coach actually first, and then an intuitive healer. And then I went on to qualify as an intuitive healer myself, which I wasn't even expecting really. But it was just a natural progression, I suppose, for me. And then which led me on to start my business, because there's this part of what I do and why I do it. Because I believe that if I can show someone that I made it through, there's showing you there's possibilities you can. You may not do it the same way that I've done it, because you're you and I'm me. But there are many points in our lifetime that we do need that extra support and help, and I'm very much the person that likes to do it all myself. But I knew I couldn't. I knew I couldn't progress any further than the choice I'd made to change, which actually was quite big. It was quite a big moment in that space of time to decide that I had to change. My life had to change. I couldn't lead the life I was leading anymore, because it wasn't even, I don't even know what it was. It was just an existence, I suppose. Waking up, breathing in and out, and just wading through the turmoil, the stress, the trauma, the grief. Everything was black, everything was dark. And I actually wrote a book about that time. I need to publish that book, actually, and that's been coming back to me, because I remember when I started as well, my sister's client recommended a book. It was The Universe Has Your Back by Gabrielle Bernstein. And that book became my best friend. I carried it around with me everywhere. I'd do all the homework, I would read it, I'd reread it, and just in case I missed something, I would just hold it, because there was like an energy to it that I didn't recognise at the time, but that was supporting me. And I remember carrying it around, and there came a point that I knew I had to write a book about that period of my life. It was about 7 to 8 years. The recognition of change through to the actual healing journey itself. And you'll hear many people say, healing journey, all that type of stuff, but it doesn't have to. I mean, the in-depth work was 3.5 years every single day. And what I mean every single day, working with my healer mentor every single day, doing my work every single day. And I actually consistently still do my work every single day. Excuse me. That was the dedication. Because as I said, I was talking about a post yesterday when I was listening to someone talking about the difference between motivation and dedication. And it really hit at another level about what has given me the power to continue along this journey. Now, you may work with someone for 3 weeks. You may work with someone for an hour. What is right for you is right for you. You only may need a small amount, even with what you're going through. Because at the beginning, a book was enough for me. Holding that book, walking around with that book, looking at YouTube, that was the limit. It was later on that I decided that I needed more. I wanted more. But there were many times, and it shocked me, I had this idea that my healing journey would be beautiful and light and rainbows and I'd be happy, and no. Because there were so many things for me that I chose to look at, that I chose to work at, that were really dark, that I spent years running away from, that I spent years burying. And to look at that, and also my part in that, was huge. And it shocked me because I thought, well, obviously I'm doing something really wrong here, because I thought that this journey was meant to be all sparkle and magical. And there were moments of that, but there were all moments of other things as well. And that's where my dedicated practice, and my continued dedicated practice, moves me through the journey that I am now choosing, that I consistently choose. And when things don't turn out the way that I thought they would, it's acknowledging that that's okay. Whereas before I was really like, well, I've done wrong. Look, it's happening again. But I'm a part of a stitch in the tapestry of life. There's so many other elements involved. And it took me a long time to realise that, a long time. And even now, I catch myself. Even now, I'm like, okay. But that's because I have all these tools. That's because I have all these years of working with a mentor. And now at the moment, I'm not working with anyone at the moment. I haven't done for about probably about 6 or 7 months, I think. But I feel that I'm at the next stage where it's not necessarily maybe a personal healing journey, but it's the elevation of my business and how I see myself within that, and what I'm choosing to do to elevate my life and the purpose of my life to the next stage. And recognizing that I know I can take myself so far, but there's an element of learning, understanding, acknowledging, support that I need to carry myself to the next point. But then also recognizing, who will that be? What will it be? And when you decide that you want to make a change, you are making a change, you may feel stuck or you don't know where to start. Who do you work with? And there are so many, thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people out there, all online, some not. Depends if you want to do the traditional therapy route, that's face to face. Who do you choose? Where do you go? And even I am going through that stage of mine, because I can feel myself thinking, well, who do I go? What do I do? And there's a few offers here, there and everywhere. And I'm like, oh, do I go there or do I go there? Sometimes you need the space to think, what is right for me at this moment in time? Yes, they may be amazing, but it may not be right for you at this point in your life, what you are wanting to achieve. Maybe what they have gone through is not fully resonating with you, but then there's someone else that you've got more of a pull to. Give yourself space to find out who that may be, or maybe sometimes it's doing a small piece of work with them. How does that feel? Is it going to fit? Is it what you want to do? Maybe this program of 2 days is enough for me, thank you very much. And then you're rebooking for something later on that's a bigger program, or more of a one-on-one or remotely like this. Start following them, read their book. What do you sense from that? What's the connection? You may not understand it, but you know there is a connection, there's a resonance there that you can't explain to anyone else. And really, how could you explain? There's so many things that I've done that I could never explain to people, because there's a knowing that I can't explain. I just know. It's like when I work with people, there's a connection that once I start working with that person, so many things come in. So let's say if I'm working with a person and an animal, and it's the animal that I connect with and they start speaking to me, or if I'm working with a person, it's the messages that sit around the person. And they're the messages that are tapping you on the shoulder, that you're hearing in a song, that you've heard in a sentence, or you keep hearing repeated things or seeing repeated things. Those messages are just constantly tapping you on the shoulder. But in my case, I didn't trust those. I didn't trust myself. They would be there the whole time, but I'll be like either dismissive or couldn't even tap into them, connect into them. And for me, they're around people. I mean, I pick up these messages for people that I'm not even working with sometimes, which is interesting when that comes through. I mean, not that I go around shouting at people and telling people these, because that's not my job to do. I work with people who want to make the change. And if you don't want to make a change, you don't want to make a change, and that's your choice as well. You may not think you have a choice, but there is a choice. And I never thought I had a choice. When people used to say, "Oh, it's your choice," it used to make me want to implode. I used to want to shout and scream at people and say, "Do you have any idea what my life's like? I have no choice whatsoever." I had loads of choices at that moment in time. I couldn't see the choices. I was hiding from those choices. I was cowering away from those choices. But I didn't recognise that. I couldn't see that. So this has been a very, very interesting podcast. For whatever reason, there's a message here for you. If you feel called to listen to and or watch this is a message for you for whatever reason. And I really had to trust this, because it's like I am speaking to you and I don't know who you are. And this is a very timeless message. So if you come across this, this message is for you. As always, sending you so much love.